Hello everybody, welcome to the Epic Flight Academy private pilot course. I'm your host, Mike Thompson. Remember, there are 3 keys to success in this course, and here they are. And please remember to hit that subscribe button. Let's talk about how a private pilot may share expenses without being considered flying for hire. To gain a complete understanding of this material, you must read and study Advisory Circular 61-142 and the references listed there, including Advisory Circular 120-12A and legal interpretations at faa.gov. Now, Advisory Circular 61-142 tells us specifically that it is written for the private pilot. Well, you might think, what's so hard, Mike? I know that as a private pilot, I cannot fly for compensation or hire, and when I share a flight, we split expenses equally. Yeah, well, that's pretty simple. But what about some more complicated day-to-day examples? Now, let's start here with the basic test of a commercial operator. This is in Advisory Circular 61-142, paragraph 5.3. The basic test is whether the flight is incidental to the other person's business or if it is itself an enterprise. No, not that enterprise. If the flight is an enterprise for profit, there is a distinction between your privileges as a pilot and your operational authority. Now, this is important. Take a look at paragraph 6.3. Your privilege is about operating the airplane. Your operational authority is how you operate it. Remember to view our commercial pilot video concerning commercial pilot privileges and limitations. So, what is meant by compensation? The basic test of a compensation is the receipt of anything of value that is not expressly listed in FAR 61.113, paragraph C. Now, in the Advisory Circular, paragraphs 8.1 and 8.2 talk about compensation. And, folks, here's the kicker. Expense sharing is compensation. Yes, so that is why, as private pilots, we have to be careful to share only the expenses listed in 61.113. That is fuel, oil, airport expenditures, and rental fees, period. Nothing else. So here are 2 basics that will help any private pilot with some of these typical day-to-day examples. The 2 basics are, number 1, common purpose, and number 2, small group of known people versus the general public. So let's start with some examples concerning common purpose. This first example is in paragraph 9.1.3 of the Advisory Circular. Let's say my friend Jose is a private pilot. His friend has asked him to fly him to Key West so that he can pick up the sailboat that he just bought. Jose says, "Sure, let's go." Can they share expenses? No. Why? Because Jose had no plans to fly to Key West, and so there was no common purpose. If they share expenses for that flight, the FAA will see that as compensation for Jose, and that is illegal using a private pilot's license. Now, let's say that Jose is going to a wedding in Jacksonville this weekend. His friend asks him to take him along since he was going to the Jaguars NFL game on the same weekend. Can they share expenses? Yes. Why? Because Jose was going to Jacksonville anyway. It's a common purpose. It is incidental to Jose's planned flight. They can split the costs, but remember, just the costs listed in 61.113. On the way to Jacksonville, they fly at 15,000 feet MSL for 45 minutes. So, did they need oxygen? Absolutely they did. Now, can Jose share the expense of the oxygen? No. Why? Because oxygen is not specifically listed in 61.113. And so if they share that expense, that would be considered compensation. All right, another example of common purpose. I'm in a pickleball club. Look at paragraph 9.3.2. 6 people from my pickleball club and I are all going to Charleston, South Carolina for a big pickleball tournament. So my plan is to make 2 flights. I'll take 3 up on the first flight, come back, and then take the next 3. It's a common purpose, so I should be good, right? Yes, on the first flight, I could share expenses. That was a common purpose. But no on the second flight, because the common purpose test was already satisfied on the first flight. So the second flight, I cannot be compensated. Now, let's examine some situations concerning this known small group versus the general public. Now here I want you to take a look at paragraph 10.2.1. Here the FAA makes the distinction between the general public and a known small group. Remember, as a member of the flying public paying for a plane ticket, the public expects and the FAA demands a higher standard for safety. Here's 2 examples. Let's compare reaching out to a known small group of friends versus holding out to the general public. Look at paragraph 10.2.3.2, and let's say that as a private pilot, I'm planning to fly to Oshkosh, Wisconsin to attend the EAA convention. I tell a small group of fellow pilots that I know at the airport where I work that I'm going to EAA and I'm looking to share rides and expenses. Yes, that is fine. This is known as a known small group. But let's say that I make it known to the public through brochures posted around town and on the internet that I'm going to EAA and I'm looking to share rides and expenses. No, I can't do this. This is advertising to the general public. This is holding out. The general public is not a known small group, and this is not okay. Finally, let's take a look at paragraph 10.2.3.4. I fly to Memphis almost every Friday to visit family. Everybody I know knows that I do this. One weekend, a friend of mine tells me that he also needs to go to Memphis, and could he ride along? Well, sure, he can ride along. Can we share expenses? Sure. Remember, there is a common purpose. His riding along is incidental to my original flight. Well, my beautiful wife, who is always thinking, suggests, hey, why don't we post this on Facebook? That I make this trip almost every weekend and then share the expenses for every trip with anyone who wants to go. Great idea, right? What do I tell her? Well, yes, that's a great idea, honey, but not legal. I can't do it because that would be holding out to the general public. Remember, back to paragraph 10.2.1, I would be acting like a public transportation company, like an air taxi or like an airline. And here is where the FAA draws the distinction. Remember, as a member of the flying public, the public expects and the FAA demands a higher standard for safety. I hope that you will rewind and review this video and follow along using Advisory Circular 61-142 as often as you need to help clarify the issues and these examples I've provided. Well, folks, that wraps up concerning how a private pilot may share expenses without being considered flying for hire. Join us next time.